Here's just a quick video doing an update on the Toshiba that I'd originally upgraded the memory and the SSD card on. That happens to be the most popular video on my channel for some reason. This computer, I guess, has been at the customer's house and she's been playing games on it for a while. Mostly just simple games, card games and such. And she just brought it back to me today saying that she upgraded to Windows 10 and now it's not working. So my best guess is that she's got some spyware or something and the upgrade didn't go smoothly. Noticing a couple things like Microsoft Edge is missing and there's a couple icons that aren't working. Start menu doesn't appear to be working at all. So that's a little bizarre. Basically, the computer is pretty much unusable right now. So what I'm going to do, she wants me to do, is just to wipe it and go with Windows 10 right from scratch. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to reinstall Windows 10. So here we go. Okay, if you go to Google and type Windows 10 Media Creation tool, it'll bring up a tool that allows you to download Windows 10 in either Home or Pro and in whatever language you want. And then it creates an ISO file. And then from there I was able to burn the disk. And so yeah, so I have a legal copy of Microsoft Windows 10. And since this computer has already done the upgrade, even though it's a messed up upgrade, it should have no problem activating once Windows 10 is reinstalled. So in order to install Windows 10, we're going to shut the computer down. Oh, right. I can't shut it down with this button. I guess that's going to be an interesting challenge. Okay, well, we're going to hit the power button. And normally I'd do a reset, but we're just going to do a complete shutdown and then a restart. I've already put the disk in the drive. I'll turn it back on. Oh, once it shuts off fully. There we go. And now we need to boot off that disk. Oh, I forgot Windows turns on so fast. This is going to be an interesting video. Unfortunately, her copy of Windows 10 does not boot very fast. So that tells me there's some problems. Now the question is, how do we make it boot a little slower? I guess I could try booting it off the disk. That's a good idea. Let's try that, see what it tells me. I probably should have done that the first time. Wow, it's really slow. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, rebooted it again and pressed F12 to get into the boot menu. So these are the options it gives us. We are going to boot from the optical drive. There we go. And yes, hit a key to boot. And eventually Should have installed off a USB key, it would be quicker. Very well. Okay, let's finally get rid of that for start screen. Now this. Okay, we got English, United States, sure. Install now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reinstall over top of the existing Windows. And what that'll do is it'll create a folder called windows.old, and that will it'll move all the files over. So it's going to ask me for a product key because it's already got Windows 10 installed on it that was done through the upgrade. Shouldn't need a product key, so I'm going to click skip. There we go. And I'm going to accept license terms, click next. I'm going to I'm going to try and see if it'll do an upgrade. No, it won't. Okay. So I'll go install. Yeah, because I didn't start within Windows, and it wouldn't be an upgrade anyways, really. I'll click skip again. Wait a couple more seconds. And then we'll click that, we'll click next. Install Windows only. We'll make sure that we select the drive that already has Windows on it. And click next. And you'll see it gives you a pop-up saying, if the partition you've chosen contains files from a previous Windows installation, these files and folders will be moved to a folder named windows.old. You'll be able to access windows.old, but you won't be able to use your previous version of Windows. That's exactly what we want. Okay, and there we go. And it's copied the files already. It's getting the files ready for installation. And this could take a while, so what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to pause it here and I'll check back in a second. Okay, it's got to this point. It says it's time to enter the product key. No, it isn't actually. We're still not entering a key, sorry. We're going to select do this later. Connect to Wi-Fi. Yeah, I guess we can do that. Wonder if it shows my... Oh, it doesn't show my key. Okay, well I can just enter it then. So you guys don't have to see my key. Not like any of you guys live near here, so... But you never know. Somebody might want to be downloading stuff near my house, so if you know where I live. That's not going to happen. Okay. Express settings. Just makes it simpler, and you can always change the stuff later. So now it's going to go through its install process. The rest of it, that'll probably take 15 minutes or so. I'll probably do some updates too. Alright, we'll check back on it in a couple of minutes. Okay, now it wants me to use a Microsoft account. I don't believe this person has a Microsoft account set up, so we're just going to click skip this step. Person using the computer, her name is Pat. So that's easy. Type in the name and click next. And now we're waiting again. It's a pretty common theme. Well, there we go. It says hi. And we're setting things up. Okay, so we're at the desktop. Now I want to confirm the start menu works. Wow, that's giant. It really has everything on it. Okay, so start menu works. No surprise there. Microsoft Edge is returned. And as far as I can tell, everything sort of looks normal. First thing I want to do is I want to go to Control Panel, so you do a right click on the Start button. It's the easiest way to get to it. I hate the category view, the large icons. Maybe for some people it's too much, but I love being able to see every option, even though I only use about 5 of them. So if you look under here, this is it's an AMD A10 4600 APU, 2.3 gigahertz, 16 gigs RAM, 15.5 usable, 64-bit operating system. And you look, it says the bottom, Windows is activated. So we know the install went correctly. Now the question is getting it updated. So in order to do that, you click on the Start button and go to Settings, go to Updates and Security. It says no updates are available. I'm going to run check for updates. And under Advanced Options, so it'll give me updates for also Microsoft Windows, other programs. So yeah, it did find some updates. They were completely wrong about there being no updates. And these will go through an update, and we'll be back as soon as they're done. Okay, so it just wants a reboot. It did those updates. So we'll go down here, we'll hit power and restart. And now it's going to install some updates. The thing with Windows 10 that I've noticed, that for whatever reason, it seems the first boot takes absolutely forever. We're talking on a regular hard drive, probably about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then I find the next, if you just keep rebooting, it'll go down by about 30 seconds each reboot. So that's interesting. So I would assume that Windows is caching its files to the hard drive and then loading them off there. That doesn't make a lot of sense, though. Because how would that gain speed? It must do some organizational stuff and load certain parts at certain times. Anyways, whatever it does, eventually it boots faster. And these updates are taking a while. Not the strongest processor in this laptop, but pretty much the fastest AMD makes. I'm spoiled by my desktops, I guess. Oh well, I guess we'll be back when this is done. Okay, it rebooted. So basically I'm going to go back and I can check see if there's more updates. So Start button, Settings, Update and Security. There are problems installing some updates. I'll click Retry. Catalyst Control Center requires my attention. Okay. Okay, well, while we're waiting for this, I'm going to show you where the old files are for what Windows did with them. Go to the C drive. There's a folder called Windows Old at the bottom. Under Users, do not have permission. I'll continue. It'll give me permission. Okay, I found her documents. Because she did the upgrade, there's actually two Windows.old folders. There's the one that she created on the 1st at 10:43 p.m. And then there's the one I just created when I did this upgrade. So under Users, Pat, there's desktop stuff, there's documents, and there's downloads. Favorites, there's really nothing there, but going to sort through it and we'll find out what I can keep and what I'm not going to keep. Probably the easiest way to do this is just move it to the desktop. And then pretty much everything else can go. And that'll free up some desktop space. There's a public folder with nothing in it. There's default migrated with nothing in it. Everything else, like Windows or program files, they're pretty much useless right now unless you want to just know what programs were installed. And like Windows, why would you need the Windows folder? Unless you're going to roll back. But I guess you can't now, so could I just reinstalled over top of it? And then a bunch of stuff that I used to fix the computer before. I had a Fix-Me stick, which was okay. Did its job, partly. Still left behind a ton of spyware and stuff, and didn't get everything. But it was a good starter. So now we're using 150 gigs. I'm going to remove the previous version of Windows, and that will free up some space. I just want to make sure the updates are done. It says there it's up to date. So I'm going to do that right now, if it'll let me. Let's see if I can search for disk clean. Disk cleanup. There we go. And now you want to click on Clean Up System Files. Should be able to clean up about 20 to 30 gigabytes would be my guess. It's probably going to be higher because it should have the Windows 7 on there, plus the previous version of Windows 10 that she upgraded to. Well, it could be 40 gigs. Well, I guess we'll see. There we go. Okay, so not going to worry about Defender or error reporting. They're also small. Previous Windows installation, 68.1 gigabytes. Wow. And there's nothing under temporary files or Windows Update cache. So 68 gigabytes coming back. That's a big chunk, especially on an SSD. So we'll bring that back. Sorry if it's not too clear for you guys. I should have used my regular camera and a tripod, but I figured this would just be a quick video and I'd get it done and it wouldn't be that bad. But you get the general idea. It's a computer. It's nothing too drastically different than anything else I've ever done. Just figured you guys would like to see an update on this computer and how to reinstall Windows back on it after it's been messed up pretty bad. So yeah, it'll go through and it'll clean all that. That might take a couple minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the drivers, and then I'm going to go through and install some programs and antivirus, anti-spyware, and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so that's done. Now we've got she was using Firefox, but I'm going to get Internet Explorer back on the down here. We'll just pin it to the taskbar. Recommended settings, sure. And we'll close that. Oh, wait. I guess we don't need to close it right now. We can go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do driver updates. So the easiest way to do that, ironically, is go to Google. Because I don't like the search results Bing gives me sometimes. Okay. And now you search for a website. It's called Driver, all one word, Driver Pack. So Driver Pack Solution. And then it has a, you have to have internet for it, but it's a 2 megabyte file. And it's an online driver update. So we'll run that program as soon as it'll let me. And there it goes. And loads the program. There it goes. It'll search through and it'll find. Now, you can install automatically, or you can do manual. I prefer to do manual because they do have programs, and I don't want their programs, to be honest. A lot of them have Russian settings and stuff. So, there's all our drivers that we need. Not very many. We'll click install. Okay, so the drivers are installed. The next thing is some basic software. Stuff like other browsers, antivirus, anti-malware. Some of the basics that you need for a computer. You might not realize you use them, or even know you need them until you, of course, you go to use them. Certain websites use different things also. Flash really isn't a thing anymore, so you don't have to worry about going and getting that externally. Most browsers will use their own flash. So I'm just going to pick the two browsers that I normally recommend, Firefox and Chrome. I tend to prefer Chrome, but a lot of people prefer Firefox. WinRAR, it's good for extracting files. Sometimes you have RAR files or zip files. Skype, if you ever call anybody. I always install VLC, which is a video player. And then I do a codec pack called CCCP, which pretty much should play anything. And then, of course, you have your runtimes. So Java 8, .NET 4.6, Silverlight, Air, and Shockwave. I always install all those. And then, so like Foxit Reader, OpenOffice. And then I go through and I'll install Avast for antivirus, Malwarebytes, which is an anti-malware, and then I always do Spybot 2. Spybot Search and Destroy is a program that can also, it prevents, it's supposed to prevent stuff from installing in the first place, hopefully. Then under Utilities, I install TeamViewer, which allows me to connect to the computer to take a look at it if the person needs some help, and it only takes me a couple minutes, of course with their permission. Ozlostics, normally I wouldn't install this with a computer with an SSD, but Ozlostics has an SSD mode, so it's usable for that. Revo, even though it is just an uninstaller, it also has a junk file cleanup, and it has a a startup manager so you can stop programs that are loading when you turn your computer on. That's good to stop those. Even though there's other ways of doing it, that's just a simplified way. I also install Google Drive, which gives you some Office software as well, but also gives you storage if you use Google's website. Google Drive website. What am I saying? Man, I think I need some sleep or some caffeine or something. Not quite. And then Google Earth, just as a program to play around on for fun. And there we go. So we click. This is ninite.com. ninite.com. Probably one of the most handy websites I've ever seen. No spyware, no toolbars, nothing. It's an automated installer. You just have to download the file and click run. And it'll start installing after you click yes there. And there we go. We can close that website. Apparently some drivers installing. That's interesting. Probably the Logitech. Everything else installed. I don't know what that would be. There's a Logitech dongle here. Which... yeah, I don't know what else that could be. Anyways. So Firefox is downloading and installing. And it'll go through all these and do it. You don't have to do anything. Just wait. So we'll be back when that's done. Okay, it finished. And everything there is installed. No idea about that driver. I'll just cancel it for now. I'm sure it'll be fine. Thing about Avast, you have to remember to register it if it's the free version. Otherwise, it'll expire in a month. So you just click on the green register button, hit select, and then you type in your email. As far as I can tell, they don't actually email you. And then you click. Hard to do both at the same time. There we go. Register. You say no thanks. Then you can go through and you can do your scans if you want. I normally do one for outdated software. And it's saying there's a newer version of Java. That's interesting. So yeah, you just run those updates if you have any. If you're just installing like I just did, you shouldn't have any. But if you're on an older computer and you do install Avast, then you need to check. And always a good idea to run the newest versions of your programs just so that they're the least susceptible to viruses and spyware. And who knows, maybe even a little faster or better than they were before. So that's doing its thing. I'm going to open Spybot Search and Destroy. I'm not going to create a whitelist yet, although that is the next thing on my agenda. I'm going to run the update, because we're on version 2.4, and ironically for Windows 10 it's a 2.5 version that comes up. So in order to get that version, you have to install the updates. And the strange thing about Spybot Search and Destroy is the updates never all install the first try. So I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll update the other Java one that it found. It'll give me a number of 100 and something updates, and then it'll see there it even says now there's still updates available. So basically just leave that and let it run. I guess the first time probably takes 5-10 minutes. Then after that it goes quicker. And I'll do right click on the desktop, go to Personalize. That'll bring that up. Click on Themes and Desktop Icons and Settings. And I'll normally check Computer, User Files, and Control Panel, and then click Apply, and that'll add those things to the desktop. And then normally I will, just a second, I'll get some of these menus out of the way. I'll take them and I'll put them up here by the recycle bin. Just so if a person's looking for their files or looking for their computer, that they can find them. And then that settings. So Java's up to date now. I can close Avast. And Spybot's still updating. So now that the Spybot Search and Destroy it's installed 127 updates, it's still telling me there's updates available, so I click Update. And we'll wait a couple seconds, see what it says. Okay, so that finished. 18 available updates, or 18 updates installed. Still says there's updates available, so I click Update again. It's kind of annoying, but eventually all these updates will be installed. They're not installing to the computer, they're installing to this program. So if you look at the bottom there, it does say post Windows 10 Spybot upgrade. Okay, so we'll do that right as soon as this is done. Even though I'm sure you could probably jump to it before this, but I want to make sure I have everything. I don't want anything left behind. Even though I'm not sure it makes a difference. Okay, so we're going to close out of this. We're going to run the post Windows 10 install, which ironically is just reinstalling it again. I don't know why they don't have the new version. So now it'll download and get the newest version. Interesting, it wanted to close all applications. Maybe it couldn't close its old program. So I clicked Ignore. Hopefully it's still okay. I don't know what programs it wants to close. Never seen that before. Well, worst case scenario needs a reboot. Yeah, there we go. So we'll reboot. I'll normally give it a couple seconds here to make up its mind if it's going to shut this program down on its own or if I have to. It's acting weird. I'll just restart anyways. And we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we've rebooted. It's now back into Windows. I just opened Spybot. We're running, of course, 2.5, which is what we just installed. And click on immunization. And for some reason it does this odd Sheldon from Big Bang Theory like 3 times sometimes. But eventually it opens. And immunization just tries to block some of the most common spyware from installing. Not 100% sure how well it works, but any protection is better than no protection, is what I would say. It doesn't protect the computer from getting infected, but if it blocks some of it, that's better than none. And this customer's past history has shown me that spyware runs rampant. So the more protection I do now, the less work I'll have to do in the future to fix whatever happens. So I definitely want to make sure immunization is maxed out from the start. I definitely want to make sure that I have a whitelist so I can refer to that if I run spyware. So everything is installed. Given this is an SSD, everything runs really quick. The other thing I want to check is control panel. For some reason, System Restore seems to be not running anymore on some computers. Yeah, it says it's on. It's configured to run 2.38 gigabytes of space. I'm probably going to up that just a little bit. 4.75 is fair. There we go. We can get rid of this icon to recycle bin. That folder should have gone. Interesting. Okay. So I'll deal with that later. So Spybot search and destroy again. Now we want to click on whitelist preparation. Only a good idea to do this if it's a new install. Basically, it helps this scanner let it know that all the profiles on it now are good. And so anything in the future is what it'll scan. So that takes probably an hour or so. I guess depends how fast the computer is. And we'll check back a little later. Okay, the whitelist is created. And now what I'll do is I'll run Oslostics. And I'll go under SSD support. I'll click change, enable SSD optimization. Okay, and then go back to the main screen here, check that, go down to optimize SSD, and then I'll check it, shut the computer off when it's done. Anyways guys, that's another video, and take care.